there is a lot of panic out there right now in the Arsenal fan base, and I would just call for some calm because look, I understand why people are panicking, and I will admit something in this video that I think might surprise some of you guys, but I'm looking at things and I'm just like, we are still in the most unbelievable position in the world. Look, people are panicking about Man City. There's big questions around Arsenal right now, a few decisions that Mikel Arteta has to get right, and we're going to speak about them. But I've just got finished watching the cup final, and people are raising concerns about the current form of Man City. Oh my God, City seem unbelievable at the moment. There's every chance they can catch us. And all I would say is, look, I understand the title isn't wrapped up yet. I'm never going to get overconfident and say, relax, guys, the title's already 100% won. But we have to understand, as a fan base, we've put ourselves in this position, the most commanding position that we could ever have dreamt to be in. And respect to the opponents we've got coming up. We've got Burnley on Monday, and then we finish the season against Palace. And we've spoken about why those games are perfect for Arsenal. You're playing a relegated team in Burnley, again, at home. So you would imagine that would be comfortable enough, although you have to respect every opponent. You can see Arsenal winning that. And then we play Palace, and then 3 days later, they've got a cup final in Germany. And even their managers come out and said, listen, look, I don't owe anyone any favours. They had 38 games to win the title, and it's not down to me to play a strong team or a weak team. I will do whatever's best for Crystal Palace. I listen to that as an Arsenal fan, and that bodes well for us. And what leaves me feeling even more confident is, right, Arsenal fans are panicking, oh, City could catch us, and the way they're playing, they're smashing teams. And the truth is, we could play two of the most scabbiest performances we've ever put in, ever. Certainly this season. Win 1-0. Man City can win the remainder of their games 10-0, and it doesn't matter. So Man City have left it too late to catch Arsenal, in my opinion, and that's why I don't really understand the panic in the fan base. If it was the exact level on points and Man City are playing this well, then I understand. Look, they've had some good results. The Brentford game, the 3-0. You know, their past two Premier League games have won 3-0. And then you pair that with the fact they've just won the cup final, and you can say, look, right now, they're probably playing better football than Arsenal. But that's irrelevant, because they still might not have the chance to catch us if we do our business. Plus, I looked at that. I was watching that Man City game. By the way, Chelsea are an awful team. Not in terms of quality, because they have some decent players, but in terms of a team I hate, in terms of, not nastily, but I just don't enjoy watching them. Petulance, nasty, just crybabies is the best way to describe Chelsea. I would hate to be associated with that club in any capacity, because I don't like their mantra, what the team represents, the way they conduct themselves. And people might say, oh, well, you're the same with the way that Mikel Arteta carries himself. But those players are a disgrace. Crying penalty at every opportunity, diving, running, surrounding the referee, calling for a handball when they've booted it at the arm of a player from about 3 feet away. Honestly, just embarrassing. But what I did like, I saw some moments in that game where Chelsea, who are at the minute quite a poor team, were having moments of dominance against a Man City team. And look, perfect scenario. I actually wanted that game to be taken into extra time. I wouldn't have cared if it gone to penalties. Didn't really have a dog in the fight. My opinion was, I was speaking to my son, he's 12, Arsenal fan as well, of course, and I was saying, look, I would prefer Chelsea to win, because I think it would knock the confidence of the Man City player. And he actually said something that I didn't even think of. He said, I actually want Man City to win. And I was like, what's the reason? He said, because I think the players will enjoy it, go out, have a good time, and then they'll be like hungover for the Bournemouth game. And I thought that's such a good point. If they do go out or celebrate, then there is every chance, because the recovery time now for that Bournemouth game isn't that long. So I thought that was actually a really good point. And I see Bournemouth causing them problems. Chelsea, who are, you could argue they're not as good as Bournemouth right now. Bournemouth are on fire. I think they're undefeated in like 18 games. Bournemouth is going to be such a tricky game for Man City. Please don't be surprised if Man City drop points against Bournemouth. I'm going to be predicting that. I truly believe. I've pinpointed it for a long time. And even when people was getting carried away not too long ago, I was saying, let's hold our horses. Man City have some tough fixtures. And it come true. Man City start playing these difficult games and they start to struggle. You looked at Everton away. Every away game is difficult. And people could look at Arsenal's fixtures and say, well, hello, you've got Burnley at home and then you travel to Palace. But we've already spoken about the circumstances surrounding that game that I think truly do play into Arsenal's favour. If you've got a cup final in Germany, 3 days later, I just can't see a world in where you play your strongest team. And someone pulled out an example of Glasner doing this previously in a job when he had a cup final a few days later. But all I would say to that is surely he's learnt his lesson from that. Surely you don't do that. Plus, someone made a good comment about Crystal Palace. I'll tell you what, let's get into the thoughts because there were some good ones on here actually. We're going to start with, here we go. I'll start with this one. Nicholas. Palace get 10 million from Arsenal if we win the title, so their focus is solely on the cup final. And this is actually something I'm seeing being spread about social media so much. And on the surface, you can kind of understand it. I don't believe those numbers to be exact. I've tried to do some digging, some searching, some phone calling. Nowhere has published those exact numbers. Now, we know there was a clauses in the Emirates deal. I would be surprised if all of them was kind of weighted towards Arsenal winning the Premier League and it was the entire 10 million be paid out. Now, I'm sure that will be one of the stipulations, but it won't be the entire 10 million. Now, there will be an incentive for Palace to lose that game, essentially. Now, I'm not saying the match is going to be rigged, but there's ways that, you know, they might want the extra money from the ESA, maybe even if it is 1 or 2 million plus. Bear that in mind with the fact that they do have a cup final, and you can very easily see a world in where they do play a weakened team or a second team. So that was a good point. The next one was from Jump Era, and it said, Martinelli at right back, we will be there. This is, of course, in reply to the Ben White injury. That is so frustrating. Ben White has been brilliant for Arsenal. Will he leave at the end of the season? We got another question about that in a minute. It's just so annoying that Timber and Ben White are both injured. I hope Timber can be back for the final, but I hope he can get minutes in his legs before the final, because if he has no minutes in his legs in the Premier League, I wouldn't go into a Champions League against what is probably the best left winger in the world right now, in Kvaratskhelia, and throw in a guy who's just come back from injury. Now, can Arteta do that, and can we get away with it? Yeah, sure, but percentages, I would rather a fit guy play at right back. Martinelli at right back, not for me. I'm trying to remember a time when we've ever played Martinelli at right back, and someone might be able to pull out an example from a very long time ago, or maybe it got changed in game, but I don't experiment from this point forward with Martinelli at right back. It's just such a simple answer to me. You've got Christian Mosquera there. He's played there before, and I can only remember him making one mistake, and that was a bit of a dodgy back pass that I don't even think led to a goal. So, or maybe it did. But yeah, Christian Mosquera is perfect. Very good defensively. Iconing. This was a good point. Arteta is the future of the entire sport. He has shown everyone that he can evolve footy in the very first coaching job he has landed. Other fully established and accomplished coaches say the same. Never before has a coach invoked such reaction from the football world as this man has, and without the financial flex of the top clubs, he has beaten in recent times. Go forth, boss, and prove them haters to be exactly that. And I thought, this got me thinking, I also can't remember a manager who's come into any coaching role, but certainly as your first ever job, and changed the conversation around managers this much. Like Mikel Arteta, if he does go on to win the Premier League and the Champions League, massive conversations will start to be built around this guy. And it is totally fair because he has ruffled the feathers of so many people, or of the establishment, because he's done things his way, and it hasn't always chimed with rival fans, or certainly even Arsenal fans. We know the division in the fan base, the stir he's caused within the media. I don't ever remember a manager coming into his first position and having this much talking points or dialogue around him, and that is for good reason, because most people can see this guy has changed football. Whether you like it, whether I like it, whether the media or rival fans like it, Mikel Arteta has fundamentally changed the way certain teams approach football. That right there is a legend in the making. Very good point there. AFC Invincibles. Bold call. I'd start Nketiah at right back, even though he's better on the opposite side. I actually like this. There was an example a couple of seasons ago where we had to play Tomiyasu at left back to mark Mo Salah. It's something that we hadn't really seen, and it was a total curveball that nobody expected. And it was a bit like, this is a risk. This is a big call. And it absolutely worked. So playing Nketiah at right back. Look, I think on form, you could very easily, I could structure an argument or a conversation to say that on form right now, Nketiah is our best defender. Total. Some people might have Gabriel or Saliba or Khaled. I understand, but you could make that argument if you wanted to. He's been brilliant. I talk all the time about how he's so good at stopping counter-attacks. Defensively, he's brilliant because he is aggressive. He's front-footed. He's also rapid. He's probably our fastest defender. So in terms of defensive capabilities, he probably does have all the tools in his armoury to stop Kvaratskhelia. So if he is the option, I'm okay with that. Again, I probably slightly lean towards Mosquera, but I wouldn't be totally against seeing Nketiah at right back. Very good point there. Lee, I do hope there's no more twists and turns in the league and hope that the team turn up in the final. The final will be tough, but we can definitely do it. Mosquera got to go in at right back, but that will be tough for him against Kvara, so Saka will need to do his bit defensively too. And Lee, I definitely agree with you. I hope we can turn up in the final. Look, the main one for me that I'm still focusing on is the Premier League. I would love to win the Champions League, and of course we do have a massive chance. In my opinion, we are slight underdogs, but that might suit us. If we're going into a final where it's like, oh my God, everything's riding on this. If we didn't have the Premier League, for example, the nerves, the conversation would be so much louder. But the fact that most of us are expecting us to win the Premier League, it is almost like a bit of a free hit. And again, look, we have a massive chance in that. People are writing us off, and they can at their own peril. Arsenal are good enough to beat PSG. When teams like Atalanta have beat PSG 4-0 this season, you can very easily make an argument that Arsenal could beat them in a one-off game. Yeah, very good point, Lee. Last one is from No, Tell the Truth. I don't mean any disrespect. Ben White is probably done after this injury, so we should make sure he gets the respectful acknowledgement for his efforts. I don't want Ben White to leave at the end of the season. I still think in terms of ability, Ben White has so much to offer. And I think it's slept on just how good Ben White can be in offence. He's so good in attacking sense. Like when you do have Odegaard and Saka on the pitch, I've spoke about it so much about how good these guys work together. The right-hand side partnership is almost legendary. Ben White is so good at getting forward. I don't know why. I really like Ben White. He's almost like a bit of a cult figure. He represented so much about what this Arsenal team was 2-3 seasons ago, where we did have that aggression, that hunger, that desire, that Mikel Arteta mentality. Ben White summed it up perfectly. And look, I've listened to the interviews of people coming out like Rob Holding and saying Ben White was an animal. The amount of, he could play through injury. So the fact Ben White's missing so much football now with injury, is this a consequence of Ben White just playing through countless injuries, or is it just unlucky? Because again, I really rate Ben White's ability, and off ability alone, I keep him for next season. But I'm also at the point where I'm like, we do need reliability, because it does get difficult when you're missing so many of your top players with injury. We've had it before with Partey. We still have it with players like Jesus. Even Odegaard's injury problems this season, you could probably say that's a slight concern. Jurrien Timber at right back. You want to have your best players available for most of the time. Again, Bukayo Saka, he has to pull out a couple of times per season with injury. You have to have a stable squad. And the fact that Arsenal are still in this position when we've had so many injuries this season is almost a miracle. Look, it's Saturday. The time is 5:30. Let me know your thoughts on Man City. Are you panicking? Because there is a real panic being, I don't know, created, summed up. Is it real? Is it fake? On social media? And you speak to the people. They're Arsenal fans. And it's like, I get your concern that Man City right now are flying. Like, I'll hold my hands up. Man City look brilliant at times. Again, I think they're still vulnerable in moments. We saw that today. But in terms of results, in grinding it out, they've been brilliant. But lucky for us, they handed us the opportunity when they slipped up against Everton, which was a tough away game. And they go away to Bournemouth this week, coming, and I think they're going to struggle there as well. And again, the truth is, all we have to do is focus on Burnley and then focus on Crystal Palace. Those are my main priority right now. Again, the Champions League in the background, for me, is like a bit of a bonus. Because, right, yeah, I'd love us to win that. But we have to dial down on the Premier League first. And all we have to do is win our next 2 fixtures. Things are looking good, Arsenal fans. All I would say is don't panic, but let me know your thoughts on everything you've heard in this video. Thank you so much to everyone for watching and listening. Before you go, if you could do me a quick favour, just hit like and subscribe. And I'll speak to you all in tomorrow's video. Gooners, have a good day.